Early details are coming out through Senate aides about a deal that's being struck between Democrats and Republicans that could eventually lead to some sort of immigration reform. So it's nice that we have progress, but when you hear the actual details, it might not be as good as it seems like it would be. So why don't we give you some details about the terms of how long it's going to take to work through this new system that's being set up and become a citizen of the United States. So here's the first details, and these are coming, as I said, from Senate aides. Still undecided is how long illegal immigrants would need to wait before they could apply for permanent resident status and eventually become citizens. The delay for a green card probably would be 10 years or longer, the aides said. And then, so that I think is bad enough, but then the additional details are even worse. Once granted probationary legal status, immigrants would be allowed to work, but would be barred from receiving federal public benefits, including food stamps, family cash assistance, Medicaid, and unemployment insurance. So just to be clear, going back to the first graphic that we had, they have to wait 10 years before they can get a green card. And then once you have the green card, you have to wait 5 years before becoming a citizen.
Yeah, so
it's a pretty long period of time.
So to further clarify what John is saying, an immigrant would have to be in the United States, work for 10 years, pay taxes for 10 years, then apply for the green card, maybe wait an additional 5 years. And during that time, even though you're paying taxes into the system, you don't get certain social programs. You don't get to get food stamps or any other program that would help you if you can't make ends meet.
Even if you are already paying taxes.
Exactly.
To me, that's the most offensive part of this. And there was also another part that calculated that if illegal immigrants follow this program, that the earliest that they would be able to gain citizenship would be 2030.
Yeah.
This is people who are here right now if this is passed and comes into effect in 2015.
Yeah. So before we talk about how detrimental I think to the lives of these people the system will be, just to give you an idea of how long 15 years are, I went back and found out what was going on in the country 15 years ago. So Titanic came out, which I thought was like
wow.
forever ago. Titanic, gas was $1.22. Quite reasonable, and nobody had yet heard about Monica Lewinsky or any of her dalliances. There hadn't been the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
There was no
YouTube
15 years ago.
That's a good point. Well, even like 6 years ago.
Yeah,
but yeah, exactly.
That's true.
So,
there was no internet. Nobody had phones.
It's amazing. So as you mentioned, these are just leaked details. We don't know what the final proposal will be. But I do think that if this is true, and if this is actually what these 8 senators are coming up with, it's going to give people no incentive to come here legally, right?
Or to go through this.
Or to go through this system, because we want to give people an incentive to come to the country legally. And if they find out that it's going to take them 15 years to become legal residents here in the United States, why would they want to go through that, especially when they know that they're going to be working, they're going to pay taxes, they're going to do those things legally, but they don't get any of the government benefits that citizens get.
Yeah.
Well, also there was another article that you had sent that was Salon.com, but they had, I thought, a great response to this leak, to this draft leak idea. And they called it a Southern Plantation economy, the idea that we're going to be setting up a second tier of American workers who have to pay for the right to work in the United States, but don't get any of those benefits, as you said, none of the protections. And it also sets up that second class of workers who won't necessarily have the same workplace protections that American citizens get. And that's a very serious line to cross, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so it might seem like this is just punitive, like we don't like the illegals, let's make them wait a long time. But it's about business, and they want these jobs to be low wage. They don't want people that are working these jobs to be able to, for instance, quit the job, go on unemployment for a few months, and then find another job. If you cannot get unemployment by law, then you're stuck possibly staying in a job with shitty conditions and shitty pay. And they really like that, and it's unfortunate. And also, I mean, bear in mind, of course, these people will not be able to vote during this entire time, so they have no ability to change the system. And it's really unfortunate. It's like you said, it's a second-class system.
So I'm thinking about the public's perception of this proposal and how Americans would feel about it. And I'm actually really worried about the fact that the majority of Americans would actually be in favor. Now, of course, this is just speculation. I could be totally wrong about that. But I feel like there's been such a negative perception of illegal immigrants, of immigrants in this country. And usually what will happen is, it'll be kind of like a Hunger Games wages type scenario, right? Where all of us are already on the edge. All of us are already underpaid, overworked, very, very frustrated. And we want to, look, I don't personally want to see other people suffer, but you get that feeling that people are focusing more on those in the working class and middle class and kind of pitting everyone against each other as opposed to fighting against the system that's kind of put us in this situation to begin with.
Yeah, well, you know, that has always been sort of the nature of this kind of setup where you make people feel like they have to fight against those who are below them on the economic ladder. It distracts them, makes them feel better about their own situation.
Right.
You know, and I think you're probably right that the public will understand not as much about this very complicated bill that is under discussion because, you know, the general public, people just don't have time to read through these bills and understand. They're too busy making ends meet. They're too busy raising children, trying to get their kids through college and their parents through retirement and illness. You know, they just don't have time to know about this stuff. And we also know that Congress tends not to read these giant bills either, so I doubt that even they will understand what's in it.
And what's even most shocking is we have some other details, basically, that despite the fact that this is largely run by business interests, they want this. We're going to have this system of very low-wage people who have almost no protections. Even with that, they also want to set up increased guest workers programs, so they can bring people in who have even fewer rights.
Yeah,
it's
of
pretty
course
amazing.
they do. I mean, anybody who says, any business person who says that there is a labor shortage in the United States, especially when it comes to high-skilled workers, is lying. I swear. Because we know that there are quite a few middle-aged engineers, computer programmers, people who have not been able to get jobs because they're not willing and not able to work for the low pay that these employers want to offer, which they can get away with the H-1B visas.